closer look at this satellite image. At first glance, it seems like nothing but a desolate dry desert. But right in the middle, you can see a strange structure. If you zoom in closely, it looks exactly like an aircraft carrier. Those huge aircraft carriers that the military uses as floating airfields, starting from the runway, fighter jets, and weapons. But the surprising thing is that it is not on the ocean floor, but on the sand in the middle of the desert. Now let's zoom out a little and see its surroundings. The photo was taken from the Taklamakan Desert in northwest China. Ordinary aircraft carriers operate in the turbulent waters of the ocean. But the environment of this desert is also very cruel. Instead of water, there is only sand. However, it is as extreme as the ocean in terms of temperature and adversity. Taklamakan is the second largest sandy desert in the world in terms of size. When viewed from a satellite, it looks like a huge eye of sand. And it seems like an unfamiliar part of the world we know. Why is the Chinese military building something as mysterious as an aircraft carrier in the middle of this desert so far away? The question naturally arises. Although China has been advancing its aircraft carrier program at a rapid pace in the past few decades, even 15 years ago, they did not have a single aircraft carrier. Now they have 3 carriers in their fleet, and they built one of them themselves. But the design of the ship that is seen on the desert in the satellite image does not match China's own carriers. Rather, its structure is exactly like the design of an American carrier. For example, think of the size of the U.S. Navy's most modern Gerald R. Ford-class carrier. Think of this fake ship in the desert. It also has a surprising similarity. Looking a little further from that place, you can see a straight line running through the desert. If you look closely, you can see that it is actually a railway line. Just on the other side of this truck, another large structure is visible. It doesn't look like an aircraft carrier. Rather, it is modeled after the famous Arleigh Burke-class destroyer of the United States. This desert structure has copied the exact design of that destroyer ship. Starting from the bridge funnel to the missile launcher, the position of all the important parts has been placed in the same way. It is clear that these structures are not actually ships. Rather, they are flat mock-ups or replicas built on the ground. Surprisingly, old satellite images have been captured in 2020, which first showed the shape of the ship by arranging cubes and long poles. Later, the outline of the entire ship was drawn more clearly. Here is another thing that is quite strange. The railway line that passed through the middle of those fake ships has a very curved and unusual shape. There are no natural obstacles on the flat ground all around. Yet, the truck did not go straight, as if it had gone astray. It suddenly turned right after twisting in the middle. So why was the railway line bent like this? The whole story becomes even more mysterious if we follow the railway line. Going north, the truck stops near a base where a large hangar, some buildings, and a few trucks can be seen, and after going some distance south, the railway line suddenly disappears into the last desert and suddenly disappears into thin air. It is still unclear for what purpose such a strange truck was built. Just think about it. It is surprising where the real warships of these replicas of U.S. warships built in the desert are located. It is true that U.S. carriers and warships often roam near this desert. The U.S. fleet regularly patrols the South China Sea. Chinese warships are also there. Once, a Chinese destroyer passed a U.S. ship so close that a collision almost occurred. These incidents show that tensions between the U.S. and China have been rising around China for a long time. There are 2 issues at the root of this tension: the South China Sea and Taiwan. China claims almost the entire South China Sea as its own, and has already built artificial islands and a military base there. The United States opposes this by regularly sending warships there. The second dispute is over Taiwan. Although the island is run by a separate government, China has always considered it a separate province and has threatened to seize it by force if necessary. The United States has made it clear that the number of Chinese attacks on Taiwan is very real, and has also stated that they will not accept such coercion. Therefore, the U.S. Navy is on alert in the Taiwan Strait, and these 2 disputes could take the form of a major conflict in the future. Therefore, China is preparing by turning the desert into a kind of training ground. The structures built in the desert are actually practice targets. How accurately China's missiles can actually hit American warships depends on each other. Many think that sensors or radar reflectors are attached to the long metal poles attached to these structures, so that missile hit data can be collected and radar-based targeting training can be done. Other satellite images have also shown that Chinese missiles are able to hit these targets accurately. But the real warship will not stop. Model ships have been placed along the railway line to simulate hitting a moving target. This truck is along with a model of a Recta aircraft carrier, a more advanced three-dimensional structure than the previous one, on which numerous poles are attached. A scale model of this system was also shown at a defense exhibition in China, and it is known that the Chinese company CASIC has developed this moving mock-up system. The purpose of such a curved design of the railway track is to imitate the movement of an aircraft carrier ship that would suddenly change direction or change speed quickly to escape from an attack. Satellite images also indicate that China has successfully tested hitting targets. Making fake targets and evading is not a new tactic. For example, in 2014, Iran built a replica of a US aircraft carrier and sank it with missiles. Although the purpose of that exercise was more of a propaganda purpose than real training. Still, evading fake targets is nothing unusual in the military world. The United States uses fake enemy weapons in its own exercises. For example, a replica of China's J-20 fighter jet or the Rusukasu 27 fighter jet have been flown in training. But the concern is that China is not testing any ordinary weapons here. They want to demonstrate a system that can change the tactics of those potential wars. According to US observers, China has a special ballistic missile called Dongfeng 21D, which is specially designed to destroy moving aircraft carriers. This missile is first launched very high in the atmosphere and descends at great speed. While descending, its warhead part is separated from the main missile and can change course midway. As a result, it can accurately hit small or moving targets. According to experts, such weapons are very difficult to counter, because to prevent torpedo attacks launched from submarines, enemy submarines have to come close to the aircraft carrier. But this missile can hit ships far away from Chinese soil. The US air defense system may not be able to respond in time against such a long-range and fast attack. And in the final stage, the warhead of the missile will suddenly change direction, making it almost impossible to shoot it down. By conducting this test in the desert in public, China is probably sending a terrible message to its adversaries. They want everyone to know that they have this capability, because that will change the balance of power in their favor. The United States will no longer dare to approach them easily with a carrier, because once the missile reaches them, there is a risk of destroying the huge warship. In short, China is building a fake warship in this desert and testing the missile to develop a strategy for attacking US carriers from a long distance. In other words, even if the missile is not used, China's ability to demonstrate power in conflict areas such as the China Sea and Taiwan, where its presence is feared, is increasing many times over. In fact, China's strategy is very